Why is it that whenever I tune into your stream, there's always some kind of tribal cheering? Because it's awesome? This is Mongolian music. Sometimes I have Viking music on. Do you not like it? I don't like it at all. I can scarcely stomach your stream. It hurts me. But you are playing Zerg, so I guess I'll watch. I just can't decide if I want to mute you or not. Estimated time to start? Maybe when I take my food break. A couple hours. What did I send you, Scrub Lord? Some meat? Do you require meat, sire, for your pet? Are we getting proxy barracks? Let's go, dude. Let's do it, dude. Not the best trade of all time, but we did get the base down.
에너지가 부족하다. 광물이 부족하다.
I'll leave this queen up here.
광물이 더 있어야 한다. 인벌레가 공격받고 있다.
I'm gonna get another queen here. And I think this queen will inject. Make sure my saturation is good. Overlord should be spread out. I'm just trying to get a bunch of drones right now. I'm gonna go Roach Horn this time instead of Bane Nest because I pulled off gas all the way.
아군이 공격받고 있다.
Oh? Liberator or Viking or Medivac?
광물이 부족하다.
Those are the options.
여왕이 탄생했다.
I have no units right now.
광물이 더 있어야
Should probably make at least a few lings.
에너지가 없다. 광물이 부족하다. 에너지가 부족하다. 점막 위에서 여왕이 탄생했다.
Okay. I think I'm in a reasonable spot. I can prevent Hellions from diving. I need to find out whether it's mech or bio pretty soon here. This is very passive. I think that they would have attacked hours ago. Oh. Well, now I know what it is. Oh! Battlecruiser operational. Yo. Midi, thank you for the 5 months of support. Tier 2 subscribe here. Big ups, yo. Oh, the cat was happy after they had it? Nice. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome, just getting started. Just getting started today. Chicken delivery. And you're not gonna share? Jeez, dude. Ladder opponents these days. There's also roach delivery. Bah! You better lift! You better lift! It's on fire! Just too many roaches. We did it. Ladies and gentlemen, Who wants a quick anti-Battlecruiser guide here? Raiseth yon hands to the sky. Streamer, give us a guide, please. Please, God, give us content. Okay, we have to pause music so stuff doesn't get muted. Ladies and gentlemen, good people of the internet, motherfuckers, what's up? Excuse me, I'm about to create some content for you, free of charge. Free of charge, yeah. Alright. Whoever is back there snoring, hello? We're in class right now. If you're gonna sleep, then why did you even bother coming? Jeez. Attention, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to go into a replay here of how to deal with Battlecruisers. And the interesting thing about this game is I didn't specifically scout the Battlecruisers. I scouted, but oftentimes a Battlecruiser build does a good job of killing your overlord. So you're not guaranteed to scout the fusion core, so what do? A lot of people have been saying, Neuro, Battlecruisers, they're just so strong, I'm upset. Are they too strong? Well, they are getting nerfed post-BlizzCon probably, so maybe, but you should still try your best, so we're going to look at how to deal with that. Okay? So here's the opening, and I'm not going to get too focused on the details of what build order you should choose. We're going to look more at the big picture here of how Zerg can excel against Battlecruiser styles. So the way that I tend to open up the match is by sending one scouting overlord and then one shenanigan overlord to watch for barracks and bunkers and that kind of thing. So Francisco is going to look around at home. Oscar is going to look around on the forward side of the map. I like opening with Ling speed. I'm opening with queens. The timing of the third base isn't super important. You could take it after Ling speed and go for 4 queens first. You could also go for 3 queens and overlord speed. Those decisions aren't super important as long as you do that build cleanly. So in this game, I'm just going for a fast third. I injected both bases, and then I'm going to do creep tumors at both bases. And this is actually the foundation to what makes Battlecruiser defense possible, is creep being all around your bases. For one, you can see where the Battlecruisers end up being. That's really useful. For two, your queens can actually defend. If you don't have creep connection here, sorry, you're fucked. That's just how it is. You have to have a lot of queens to be able to defend Battlecruisers, and if you have 2 queens that are just lumbering super slowly off creep right here, and 1 queen that's right here and 1 that's up here, they're just going to be able to kill your queens one at a time, and you can't get a solid anchor. So basically what you're trying to do is snowball a queen count that allows you to anchor your 3 bases of saturation faster than the Terran can snowball their Battlecruiser count and keep your queen count low. It's basically a contest. Can you spam queens better than they can spam Battlecruisers? So I'm going for a scout at about 4 minutes, and what do we see? Just basic standard shit. Factory reactor, barracks with research, and a starport. This doesn't really tell us a whole bunch. This could be the Marauder attack. This could be stim for a Viking into a third base. This could be with a Liberator follow-up. Who knows? Who really knows? This could be a Hellbat Marine attack with a Medivac and a Viking. We don't really know. So the thing that Zerg has to do, this is just how Zerg works, is spam queens and drones. That's your versatile option. The starport and the fusion core are just way out on the map. I don't know why they did that. I guess that's to counter Overlord speed. But this is actually a really good point in illustrating that you're not guaranteed to get a complete scout. It's just not physically possible to scout the entire map by 4 minutes 30 seconds. Unless you went for super fast Overlord speed and patrolled everything, but I think even then you may miss it, and that would cost a lot of attention. So what am I doing? I don't know what's going on, but I do know something. I'm Zerg, and Zerg can saturate 3 bases really fast. So what I'm trying to go for here is a bare minimum of units. So I have 13 lings, and I have my queens. Notice the formation of my queens. They're all together. They're a team. They're going to be a lot more successful against stuff if they're DPSing as a unit rather than as individuals just scattered throughout your bases. So a really good habit to get into is having 1 queen at each base injecting, and then the rest of them anchoring your newest base. So the 3rd is my newest base, so my queens are most heavily concentrated there. I'm going to go for double upgrades here. Why? Because I'm macroing. One thing that happens in StarCraft is sometimes one player just macros more effectively than the other player. And there are a lot of these stages in the match where there isn't really violence happening. The opponent is not attacking me because their build involves 2 very expensive units that take a long time to build. So I have a bunch of time to get up to a really nice worker count. I have 53 workers, and I'm making more workers right now. And as you see this number turn red, that's when I'm going into gas saturation here. A really common mistake that I see people do is they'll have 15 workers on minerals, and then they'll take 2 gases, and then they'll fill them, and they'll be left with something like 9 workers in their mineral saturation, and then they end up floating a crap ton of gas. Mineral saturation comes first. It's super important for being able to afford drones, buildings, queens, and your 4th base. The gas stuff, that's more of something that should be on your mind after you have 60 workers and you're trying to zoom up to 70 workers. So we have a really nice economy here, and we have 8 queens. Ideally, you have 10 queens, so I'm going to show you what this defense procedure looks like because we have been effectively surprised. We didn't see the Battlecruisers, but we do have a nice, solid, robust setup of 65 workers, 8 queens, and 16 lings. I could have made fewer lings and made some roaches, but I think having some defense is good. Could also have 4 Banes in this. Sometimes turn will attack you with Hellbats and Battlecruisers, so having some ground army is pretty important here. So this is the crisis management stage. We see that there's Battlecruiser. I slowed it down a little bit. Queens are trying to transfuse each other. Usually it's better to transfuse sooner rather than try to wait until the last amount of health, just because you're going to have stuff that gets you auto-cannoned. I made a few extra spores here. I have a really good economy, so I can afford to make some extra spores. That means that this base is basically Battlecruiser proof until they use Yamato on it, so my queens have a lot to do. So notice this as well. This is an important micro procedure here. I'm going to show you again. If you look at the range of the units, queens have an anti-air range that's I think 1 longer than Battlecruisers. I have no idea why I can't see that on this command card, but I think you might be able to take my word for it that it's about 1 longer range for the basic attack for the queen against air than it is for the Battlecruiser against these queens. So that means you can stutter step, and in addition, the queens have a limited attack speed, which means you can scoot them forward a little bit between their attacks, just to make sure you continue to chase the stuff effectively while dealing damage. So I'm gonna show you up here what that looks like. And I have these queens on a hotkey as well, which is pretty impactful here. I have 5 queens. They're on this group 9. So I'm running up. And because they teleported in, they can't teleport out yet. So I take a shot with all the queens, and then I just scoot up a little bit with a move command, either here or here. And then I'm right-clicking the lowest Battlecruiser. And then we killed one. And that's actually massive for how this interaction is going to snowball throughout the rest of the match. Instead of the opponent teleporting home with 2 Battlecruisers, now they only have 1, and I'm making 3 queens at a time for my bases. 3 queens at a time, and then the 4th base is on the way so I can make another queen. And I just have my roachling at the 3rd here. We end up crushing these Hellions just because we had the units in a smart place. We have some stuff here, so these roaches could potentially sit in the wall and block. In addition, the queens are up here, so it's less likely they would shove the Hellions into the natural or the main. So we didn't even have to micro anything. We just had a ton of stuff in the right place. And this is what I've called a neutral stance. The neutral stance means if you don't know where the opponent is going to attack and how they're going to divide their harassment forces, where should you just place your units? I think in general, having your queens anchoring the newest base and then having your main army kind of between your 2 newest bases right here is going to be the best option, because if the Hellions go into the 3rd, you can just move your army up a little bit here. If they try to go into the natural, you can block here. And if they go into the main, that's going to take more time. Your queens could attack them up here, and you have some time to run up here with your army. So that's a pretty good formation for this. I do also have Overlord spotting all around and lots of creep spread. The more Overlord and creep spread you have, the more information you have on where the attacks are going to come in. And that's great. Okay, so we killed another Battlecruiser here. We're just crushing it right now. But we did lose some queens, so we still need to keep spamming them out here. Gonna keep making queens. I'm getting 2-2 just to macro, make the units better. You don't need to always have some really fancy pants, caster oriented, amazing approach to the matchup. You can just make a bunch of units that have good upgrades. That is simply my plan here. It is to upgrade my stuff, it's to defend our home, and to apply some pressure. Because one of the downsides of going double starport Battlecruiser is they don't have a ton of gas for tanks. They just don't have the money for it with 2 bases of gas. They do have the 3rd base landed, but they can't get out. Because these Hellions are just crap against upgraded roaches. Hellions are bad against roaches in general, but these are 1/1 roaches. And since the roaches have the armor upgrade, these Battlecruisers deal almost no damage to them. Look at this, killed 1 roach there. We're trying to kill a 2nd roach with this Battlecruiser. So while you may look at the Battlecruiser and its stats and say, wow, this is an overpowered unit, there are situations where it's garbage. Like right now, this is not going to do anything. These roaches are just charging right into the main base, getting on top of the army, crushing everything. And we have a fully saturated 4th base with burrow and tunnel claws and 19 roaches on the way. Super dead. The opponent has been destroyed. So what are the 3 basic things for dealing with Battlecruiser? Spam queens with creep connection, regardless of what the Terran opening is. If you plan to macro, if you're going to cheese, do your cheese build, whatever. If you're trying to macro 3 bases, you need a really solid, sturdy anchor of queens that are on a hotkey that are anchoring the newest base. You need your queen anchor. Saturate your minerals before your gas. Super important for being able to afford your buildings, like your extractors, your evos, your roach warren, and your queens in your 4th base. That's all mineral stuff. So get your mineral saturation above 16 before you take your extractors and things. And then the other point was knowing how to stutter step your queens to get more shots off on the Battlecruisers. So it's the move command so you're in range, and then shoot with everything, right-clicking the lowest Battlecruiser, move, shoot, move, shoot. I think in MOBA games they call it orb blocking sometimes, to apply some debuff on enemy units. And then in terms of army composition, you don't have to make a fancy counter unit to the Battlecruiser. You can just kill the Terran. So double upgraded roaches, they're good against Hellion Cyclone. Hellion Cyclone is a really common follow-up to this battlecruiser opening. It could have been tanks. That's technically possible. It wouldn't have been a ton of tanks. You might say that's less of an optimal follow-up. But if it was, instead of punching in here and winning the game, we can force a lift on this third base, drop an infestation pit in a Hydra Den, and then go into Roach Hydra Viper so we can Blinding Cloud or abduct those tanks. So this is a really robust and solid way to open. We did get surprised by the Battlecruisers, but we crushed it because we had a very sturdy, stable setup. There you go. That's how you deal with Battlecruisers before the nerf. After the nerf, who knows? You might not even have to do anything. They might just have like a timed life and then the Battlecruisers go away. I don't know. Thank you for supporting the stream and this content. Bless.